Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Empire Life podcast, where we interview founders and entrepreneurs from all around the world about how they built their online empires and their ups and downs and their strategies for how they've come to be so successful. And today we have a special guest, Andi Forness. She's an online dating coach, and she utilizes online dating for personal development with her clients. And we're also really going to dive deep into 3 reasons why a great relationship increases revenue. And I'll hand it over to her for her to intro.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Allison. So, hey, chicas, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me enter your, I guess, sound waves, if you will. And yes, I'm a firm, what I realized coming into being an entrepreneur and into the dating scene, that both of those arenas were right for personal development. And I see a lot of women go, and I'm not discounting journaling, don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting self-reflection, but I see a lot of women that go and work on themselves in isolation. And it isn't, but then once they come back to, the real world, or try to get into like a relationship with a person, it almost that like the work that they've done on their own isn't working anymore because they haven't actually practiced those skills with a person. And so that's how we actually know that our personal development is working, is because when we are with another person, we are able to evolve some like old patterns.
I completely agree with that. Something that came up for me when you said that was, often I hear people say, well, he brought that up in me, or she did that to me. She made me feel that way. I was just fine by myself, or journaling. They felt a lot of peace of mind
Right.
being alone in the solitude, and those same triggers start to come up when they start implementing that with another person. And they may
Exactly.
think, well, I'm better off alone. I was doing just fine by myself. I'm going to go back to that. It must be that person. Can you
Right.
go a little deeper into that? I'm sure you've
Yeah,
heard it
sure.
before.
Well, and I'm not discounting any of that
Right.
happen, but we need to be able to work with those things that are upsetting with another person. So for example, the whole point of this talk that I have for you guys is about receiving. And would it help if I shared a little bit of my story?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I left a 20-year relationship, and I went dating, thinking it would be really easy. Like, I'm smart and attractive and like a really good person. I take care of people. I'm organized and responsible. And I thought it'd be like super easy. But what was happening is I kept finding myself in unfulfilling relationship after another. And it was just because I changed the person out here, and I did tons of work. I've probably spent $100,000 on personal development, but I would be like at a retreat or at the yoga teacher training. And I'm not saying that I didn't gain from that, but my last bit that I hadn't conquered was that romantic relationship piece. And so I kept finding myself in unfulfilling relationships, even so unfulfilling that I once was dating this Grammy Award winning musician, and I was at the point where it was the kind of relationship where he would call and I would jump, and he would call and I would jump, and he would invite me to make dinner with him, which I thought was really fun and romantic, but then I would end up going and like getting the groceries, right? Or I guess the breaking or the tipping point when I realized I really needed to work on this was I met him down at a fancy place, Clark's here in Austin, and he had already ordered and got a glass of wine, and I just got a glass of wine because I was too scared to like order something. And he paid for his stuff, and he asked me to pay for my own glass of wine, even after I'd done all these other things. And so what I realized there was that I had a really hard time with receiving. So I could go off and write in my journal and say, I'm worthy, I'm good enough, or whatever. I could do all of that. But what I actually needed to do was go online and practice receiving. Like I needed, this comes from my yoga teacher, I needed practice at it because it was so foreign to me to be able to receive that I actually had to practice at it. I would have to go and ask a guy to, meet me on my side of town, or we would go for a cup of coffee and I'd put my wallet away and make sure that I didn't pull out my wallet for my $2.11 coffee like at Central Market. And so I realized, and why this is connected to your business, I was doing the same thing in my business. Like I was not receiving in my business. And guess what? I was feeling unfulfilled in my business around that same time too. I was not charging enough. I was over giving with my clients. I was, their sessions are 45 minutes. I gave them an hour. Their sessions expire in 4 months. I let it go for 6 months, right? And I wasn't able to re-sign them because I extended out. I was always being over giving. I was taking notes for them during our calls when they should be taking notes. And so it was very evident to me that like I needed to practice. I could go sit in my room and say like, I'm worthy, I'm going to receive and visualize all that. But if I didn't like have a focus and a practice, then I wasn't going to be able to move the needle.
I love all of that. I completely agree. There's a fun exercise that I came up to play with one of my girlfriends the other day when we were having a glass of wine.
Cool.
And she tends to hop to buying her own drink. And she's looking for a long-term relationship. And this is something that has come up with her a lot. And I said, I want to give you, she likes challenges. She's very ambitious. And I said, I want to give you a little bit of a challenge. How about tonight you wait until you decide that you're connecting with a guy and wait to see if he offers to buy you a drink.
Right.
You don't have a drink in your hand. He doesn't see you're already having a drink. And you let him get that for you and receive it. And she's like, oh my God, okay. I never thought about it in that way. I'm gonna do that. And it happened. Or even more than one drink. And then like a date and
it's really for women that are used to taking care of things on their own. They've probably been doing it since they were younger and like their family. It's not, and I'm so glad you're saying this. I want to really get rid of the whole banter that like I had low self-esteem, because I really didn't have low self-esteem. What it was what was modeled to me. I didn't have it modeled. I didn't have a model of a man, giving to a woman and a woman receiving. I grew up essentially with a single mom. I never saw it. So I didn't know, my model was a woman that had to handle everything. She handled the house, she handled the kids, she had her job, right? And so I didn't think I had low self-esteem. I just didn't even know what it looked like. It was foreign. So I love that, like, it's like our girlfriends or our coach or a mentor can help us like know what else is possible, right?
Exactly. I similarly didn't have that also. Even at one point when I was stepping into that a little more than a decade ago, and beautifully receiving. I remember the first time the guy had even bought me flowers. I was in my early 20s. And that, because it was an issue for me too at some point. And I remember my mom saying to me, why do you need a guy to buy you flowers? You can just go buy your own flowers. And it stuck with me. I said, well, it feels nice. And she said, I'm worried that you may rely on him to do those things for you, and you can do those things for yourself. And I said, it's okay, Mom. I don't mind him buying me flowers. It's okay. I don't mind, because that same relationship, he modeled it for me. Like a few times we were shopping together, and he will step in front of me and pay for my clothes. And I had never experienced that before. It was like, and he didn't really look back and be like, is this okay for you? He just did it and modeled what that would look like for somebody to take care of.
What your mom's saying, because I feel a lot of women they confuse receiving, which what you did, and being needy. and all the women that I'm talking about, women that are strong and independent, they never want to be seen as needy or never want to be seen as desperate. So that what they do is they don't do any receiving, right? And I like the way that you said, I can buy my flowers and he can buy my flowers, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be all or the other. Like we can all, like that's, you clearly, Allison, have an abundance mindset.
Thank
That's
you.
abundance. Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be one or the other. That's a fixed mindset.
exactly. When I'm shopping by myself and I love a dress,
Right.
I can pay for it on my own. If he's with me and
Exactly.
he wants to do that and
Yeah.
he feels called to do it, he can step in front of me and take control of the situation, and I'm cool with
Right.
that too.
And if he goes and he doesn't buy you a dang thing, then that's fine too, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, there's no expectations. It was a pleasant
Right.
surprise and receiving in that
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and my mom, I do like how family can influence us on that. That's a great topic because
Oh my
that was
God, yeah.
unfamiliar for her. If I said the dress I was wearing, I think that's how it came up. I was like, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my boyfriend got this for me," and she immediately has her walls go up, and you know that that's
Right.
not a good pattern. You know that's not healthy. You need to display to him that you're an independent woman, so he doesn't try to control you, and all those patterns start to
All of
come
her
up.
feels,
Yeah,
yeah, get
all of
projected
her
on you.
all of her fears, and most likely it is related to being needy. If somebody was to tell me that now, I'd be like, okay, I'm actually, that's probably a good thing because that means that I know how to receive. And they're
Absolutely.
seeing it in a different light, that it's another way to say it, because that has actually come up in some of my relationships. And if they were upset, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so needy," and I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Okay, yes, because I do require attention. I do want to be treated like a queen. I'm okay with you." Usually, it's only if they're a little upset and they are feeling insecure of, "Am I capable to give enough? Am I am I enough?" And I understand their fears, but I don't take it as a negative anymore.
I love it.
What
That's
to say it as.
fantastic. Would it be cool if I share the two different kinds of giving?
Yeah, please.
Okay, good. Because I think we're not aware of this. So
Hmm.
there's physical giving, right? Where you are, doing things physically for somebody. You're buying them clothes or driving across town at a certain time or meeting in their part-time, whatever. There's like the physical act. But one that I see a lot of my clients come to me with is they have someone in their life that is emotionally taking up a lot of space. They are over giving emotionally. It's usually like a family member that's taking up all the space in the room, or like a friend that's like in crisis. And these clients of mine are emotionally overgiving. Even like on dates, like so a woman was telling me that this guy was going on and on about his ex-wife for like their entire date, and I'm like, well, why did you do that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why are you giving up an hour of your time to hear somebody complain about the ex-wife? And she's like, well, I thought it'd be rude if I interrupted or whatever, or it was fine or whatever. And so I want you guys to hear that, like, listening to friends talk about problems, fixing people, obsessing about them is overgiving. Like if you like a guy and you're staring at your phone for 2 days waiting for him to text you, you're giving, like you're overgiving to them. Problem solving for people, and I'm not saying, I want you to hear this, I'm not saying don't be there for a friend, but there's times when we actually enable our friends from actually getting better or actually seeking the qualified help that they need when we're just there like sounding board over and over and over again. And like I say, I have a lot of clients that say they're exhausted and they don't have time to date or they don't want to date. And then I have to dig in and be like, well, what are you doing all day? Like what's going on? Are you giving too much at your work, right? Either
Our
physically
kids.
or mentally, right? Exactly.
Mhm.
And so that is one of the things that I like to really like bring out, because all of that gets in the way of your love life and it gets in the way of your business life. And so you
True, true.
practice all of that.
Yeah, I that brought up I've been in some of those situations, and I would love to also hear your guidance and how to redirect
Sure.
someone. I have needed to redirect clients sometimes, like we're on a 45-minute call and we've taken 15 minutes to talk about something going on in their personal life. That's great. And then it's like there's always an agenda. And I'm really sorry. I will say something along the lines, I'm really sorry. I need to interrupt you for a second. I would really love for us to also cover these topics on the call. Do you
Mm-hmm.
mind if we switch topics? So I feel there's a really smooth, non-intrusive way to redirect someone's focus. Or on dates, a few times I did have that come up, and I said, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I really, really want to hear about your ex-wife. We're just getting to know each other, and I don't really feel like you know me very well.
Exactly.
Do you mind if we shift the topics and talk about me? Also, the more you discuss your ex-wife, the more I might feel you haven't moved on from that relationship. Do you want me to feel that way? Is that your true intention right now? And they're like, oh, no, okay, yeah, let's like, tell me about your day. And then
Right.
it doesn't hurt their ego or their feelings, and they're like, oh, I didn't realize I was coming off like that, because we are not someone's emotional sounding board, where that's not fair, and it starts to feel suffocating
No,
to
exactly. You nailed it.
the other person. Yeah, it's unfair to continue to go on. I had a guy actually once ask me to send him my health insurance information, so he could send that to his ex-wife, because he wanted her to be on the same health insurance. And I said, I don't feel like you and I are on the same page, because you're very concerned about even her health insurance as if you were her partner still.
Right.
Totally cool. And maybe that's better for you to focus on rebuilding that relationship, because I had already redirected the conversation a few times and I didn't continue to talk to him.
Right.
So that was it. That was like the straw on the camel's back, and I had no obsession. Completely let it go after that, and really felt strongly it's better for him to start rebuilding that, because obviously he wants to talk about it. There's still feelings there.
Absolutely.
How will you suggest your clients to redirect it? Do you have
The way I do it is I onboard, meaning they've got a Google Doc that they've
Mhm.
got to fill out before, and it specifically says what do you want to get out of this session? And so we just jump straight to that. And then if there's extra time at the end, and let's say like if there's something that I feel like I need to, then I'm going to add that in, and I'll say if we get through all this, then we can use it for any other thing. How's that? And so I actually have them come with their questions and the things that they need addressing.
I love it. And in wrapping up, I really want to go through the three reasons why a really great relationship increases revenue, because that's
Yeah. Well, the first one we've already kind of covered, so I'll just summarize it. It's being
okay.
able to receive. You have to be able to receive. Like even at that time that I was talking about, I was dating that musician guy. I tried to increase my rates. I think I was trying to increase it up to like 6,000 for a package or whatever. And I remember I couldn't sell it because I wasn't owning it. I remember even saying how awkward I'm like, it's really expensive. I mean, I remember those words coming out of my mouth. And it was really clear that like I needed to be able to receive. And so I had to go and practice it. So you have to be able to receive. For example, like same thing, if I let clients, they're supposed to be on a 4-month retainer, but they reschedule and it ends up going 6 months. If I want to re-sign them, I've lost 2 months of potential revenue. So I want you to hear that's a slippery slope. It's a real slippery slope when you start overgiving. So that's number one. You have to be able to receive. Number two, it was really being conscious of like what's going on. And so what I like to do is I like to teach this give and receive hierarchy, and it's essentially like a T-chart. So all you have to do is take a piece of paper and make a T-chart. On one side, put give, on one side, receive. start with your relationships, like your romantic relationships. And if you don't have one, then start with your business relationships. And I want you just to like ask yourself in a daily basis, like in the day, how often are you giving? How often are you receiving? What's going on there? And really take stock. And I want you to see like the balance or imbalance of it. I actually just had a breakup with a relationship of my boyfriend because it was way too overbalanced in his. And when I started asking for more, it was always his restaurants, his part of town, his activities, barbecue at his house, his bowling alley. It was all that. And at first, I will say I was unconscious of it because I was just, as a busy professional mom, for anyone to make the plans, I was like, sweet, you know what I mean? Sure. But what happened was it started to affect me. And then when I realized how much I was giving, like bringing all of my stuff down to his house, like when we were going to like spend the weekend together, or see, you know, even like the vacation was pretty much all his stuff. And it was really easy for us, if you are a giver, if to be able to lose sight of that, which only builds resentment. And then what happens is, if you don't keep it equitable, especially at the beginning, like once you try to pull back and they're like, sorry, who's this person that like wants me to come to her part of town, right? Like they don't know who we are. So it's really, really important to get that. And then it's also the same like in your business. And so making sure that you are receiving equally to giving, because if not, you're going to get burned out and you're going to quit. And then the third part was, hold on, I'm trying to find my little bullet. The third part was, it's really about having somebody to like have your back. Like really, like being in like a really, not a shitty relationship. I really want everyone to hear that. Like I hear a lot of women saying, yeah, but it's better than being with a jerk. I'm not advocating for you to be with a jerk, but like finding like somebody to have your back, to come home to hug, to talk about like a good day or a bad day, right? Someone to cheer with for you, or someone to hug when it doesn't go well. It increases your capacity for loss in another area of your life. And you're working on building your businesses, you're going to have more fails, especially at the beginning, than you have wins. There's going to be periods where you're going to need something stable and healthy and loving to help you compensate for losses or insecurity or growth periods or periods of not a lot of income coming in. And then it's also a great way to work on, we only spoke of like one aspect of personal development today, was about receiving, but being in a relationship helps you with your communication, your clarity, your focus. There's so many personal development things that go into a relationship that will also, when you master it there, will also translate into your business.
I completely agree, Andi. And how can people get in touch with you?
Oh my gosh, thank you. So I've got a few places where I hang out. One is my website. It's www.andiforness.com. Instagram, same thing, Andi_Forness. And then also Facebook. I'm very big in Facebook, and I have a Facebook group that I love. It's called Fulfilled Chicas in Love. And it's essentially, I do weekly trainings. It's a community of women that are committed to personal growth in the realm of dating and relationships.
Nice. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Allison. Yeah.